Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries, where we are committed to glorifying God while exposing the devil. Discernment is truly a gift from God. The devil is very slick. He's been at this for thousands of years. He is truly a deceiver. I know for me, the devil got me, I guess you could say he got me good, even though it was real bad, twice in 1 year. Major events. In one case, in both cases, he twisted scriptures to make something that was ungodly seem godly. But there came a point when the Lord let me know it was not his design. And actually, the same thing happened the second time around. The Lord let me know again it was not his design. And at that point in time, I had to stop what I was doing. Because if I were to continue, I would get ensnared in an even much bigger way. But thanks to God for his mercy, grace, and love. But I'm not here to share my testimony about those two major events. I'm here to share a biblical example of what it is like when we are warned of things, and oftentimes the signs are subtle, but we override our discernment and we end up getting deceived by the devil. Jacob, he's known as a deceiver. Even though his name was later changed to Israel, and he became the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, the nation of Israel. But he started off as being a deceiver. In a sense, a messenger of Satan. And we see an example of this in Genesis 27. And I'm going to read from verses 1 through 32. So you know I'm going to be a little bit longer than just a minute on this one. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old, his eyes were dim. So Isaac, the son of Esau and Jacob, was old and he was going blind, so that he could not see. He called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold now, I am old. I know that the day of my death. Or correction, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore, take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out into the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. So he was talking about conveying the father's blessing unto his eldest or his elder son. It still is a big deal, but especially back then, it was a very big deal for a father to convey the blessing unto his son. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son. And for those of you who don't know, Isaac and Rebekah were married. They had twin children, Esau the technically older and Jacob the younger. Esau, in a sense, was the favorite of Isaac, and Rebekah favored Jacob. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savor meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. And I'll pause for a second. So here it is, his mother is about to say something deceitful. The Lord doesn't use deceit. He will come out and tell you something as is. When he wanted Hosea to marry a promiscuous woman, he told Hosea, go and marry a promiscuous woman. He didn't say, go downtown and I'm going to give you a virgin to marry, and then he took her home after the wedding and found out that she wasn't a virgin. No, the Lord is very direct. So be very careful whenever you may find yourself in a situation where things aren't quite as advertised. So again, the Lord does not lie. Deception is not of God. So he's, as the saying goes, he's a straight shooter. And I'll continue. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. All that stuff was just deceitful. Isaac sent Esau to go get the venison, wild game, and she was going to kill 2 goats from the flock and have Jacob go in under false pretenses so he could get the blessing of the firstborn son from his father. That is not how the Lord works. The devil is the one who will have someone come to you and whisper deceitful things like that. If it requires deception, it is not of the Lord, unless there is judgment involved. Now continue. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. So you could say, in a sense, Jacob's conscience was saying, that shouldn't be so. And a lot of times your discernment, you may call your conscience, is letting you know, nah, that just doesn't feel right. I don't think I should be doing that, because no. And he said, My father peradventure will feel me, and shall deem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing. There are times when you're going to do the wrong thing. I can speak from voice of experience, and you may have experienced it too, where you're about to do the wrong thing. And your conscience, that little voice inside, is telling you, no, if you do this, that could happen, and that won't be good. And in order for you to do that, you have to override some things. Which in a sense, well, it's not in a sense, it's letting the Lord know that since you're willing to ignore the warnings, you're willing to face the consequences. And I'll do a separate video about the consequences of Jacob's actions. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch them. So she was talking about taking the curse. No, he was the one who's going to face the consequences for his actions. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took good raiment of her eldest son, Esau, which were with her in her house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goat upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. Like I said, the Lord is very direct. If he wants you to do something, he'll tell you exactly what he wants you to do. There's a saying, undersell, overproduce. The Lord will give you a little information, and when you do what he says, it will be so much more, surpass your expectations. It is of the devil to oversell and underproduce. Like telling you something is going to be better than it is, and when you go down that road, no. And everything that she had to do, putting on Esau's clothes on Jacob, and because he was hairier than Jacob, she put the skins of the goats on his arms. That's just too much work. So again, the Lord is very direct. And she gave the savory meat and the bread. Also another thing, wild game tastes different from the flock. One of those things when it comes to discernment, there are all these little things. And discernment is a combination of spiritual senses and your natural senses. So your 5 senses, you have spiritual senses. So for example, you may be able to see something in the natural. And for those of you, if you've ever had a vision or even a dream that shows you something that was going to happen. It's an example of how we see in the natural and we also see in the supernatural. I'll continue. And she gave the savory meat and bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? So the first thing, if Isaac had to ask, who was it? That's the discernment. He wasn't sure. A lot of times you may have questions. You may not even know where the questions came from, but the questions are to let you know that based on how the person answers it, is going to let you know whether a person is of and from the Lord or the devil. And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau. If you have to lie, that is not of the Lord. If you have to lie to get something, that is not of the Lord. If you have to lie to get something, that is not of the Lord. And you are going to pay a price for it. If someone has to lie to you in order to get something from you, that is not of the Lord. Okay. And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? The discernment bell going off. So Isaac is wondering how he found the game so quickly. Not only found it so quickly, but also found and cooked. Something was up. Something was going on. Do not be afraid to ask questions. And do not be afraid to demand answers that satisfy your questions. And if something doesn't feel right, stop, back out. If not, you're gonna regret it later. And it continues. And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Yes, people will use the Lord's name in order to try to override your discernment and get things from you. That also comes with a price. A price, quite frankly, I don't ever want to pay, but it comes with a price. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near. He's saying come near, but if something like this happens to you, that is the time for you to tell a person to get away. If a person is willing to lie to you, come in under false pretenses, and then lie using the Lord's name, that is someone you don't need to associate with at all. Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. So even after receiving an answer, hearing the Lord's name being used in vain, he wanted to test to see if it was truly Esau. And for example, 1 John 4:1 states that we should test the spirits because not every spirit is of God. And also specifies the reason why we're testing the spirits is because many false prophets have gone out into the world. One of the things false prophets do, they say things in the name of the Lord when the Lord has not spoken. And sometimes they know it, but they'll use his name anyhow in order to advance their own agenda. So Isaac discerned that something was wrong, and he was going to put it further to the test. Don't be afraid to test the spirit. If someone doesn't want you to test the spirit, most likely that person is not of or from the Lord. Test the spirits. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice. Another sign, the voice is Jacob's voice. There are times when people come to you and saying, the Lord said, but they are using God's name, but truly you're hearing the devil's voice. They may be using God's name, but you're hearing the devil's voice. And in John 10, Jesus talked about his sheep knowing his voice. We have to know his voice. And there's a difference between knowing his words and knowing his voice. Because people will come to you quoting scriptures, which is using the Lord's words, but it's not in his voice. So I'll read it again. And Jacob went near unto Isaac, his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. So the devil, when you discern that something is wrong, he will try to divert your attention to make you think that, well, maybe that was nothing. No, it was something. I used to be in the military, and I remember one day I was in medical training, and a special forces soldier said, if you're out in the field and you think you hear something, then someone is out there. And that kind of stuff is a lifesaver. Because as a soldier, the last thing I wanted to do was to rule out something, and the next thing you know, I'm staring down the barrel of a gun because I ignore the warnings. And when it comes to spiritual warfare, we truly have to be that vigilant. We have to be sober and vigilant, because our enemy, the devil, is true like a lion looking for someone to devour. So the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. So obviously, Esau and Jacob, even though they were twins, their voices were different. If the devil can get you to ingest a lie, it is oftentimes covered in maybe 99% truth, but it's the 1% that you ingest that is going to cause trouble. So in this case, it was like 50-50. The voice was Jacob's, but the hands felt like Esau's. And it's kind of like a prophecy. If someone gives you a prophecy and that thing does not come to pass exactly as stated, if someone tells you something's going to happen by a certain time, and if it doesn't happen by that time, that was false. If only a part of it came true, that wasn't of the Lord. When the Lord says stuff, everything that he says comes to pass as declared. It says, and he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother's Esau's hands, so he blessed him. It said it discerned him not, but actually it did discern him, but he overruled his discernment and said, well, the voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's, and since I have something proving that he could be, I'm going to go with that instead of the thing that says that he could not be. One of the things when something's from the Lord is that it will have godly peace. And a part of godly peace coming is because there is no deception. There's no guile in God. None. He's all good. And he said, art thou my very son Esau? So he's asking again, it's like something isn't right. And with discernment, sometimes you don't have definitive proof, but something isn't sitting well in your stomach saying, don't override it. Please. And I'm speaking from experience. Don't override it. And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. Okay, mentioned about being sober and vigilant. The wine may have dulled his sense of taste to let him know that the venison that was eating was not wild game like it sent Esau for. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment. So he smelled his clothes. So again, something wasn't right, and he was still checking. So he smelled the raiment, but because he was wearing Esau's clothes, wow, just received a revelation. He was wearing Esau's clothes. Wolves, or false prophets, for example, come to you as wolves in sheep's clothing. He was wearing someone else's clothing. Look beneath the surface. And blessed him and said, see, The smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. So if you're going by your five senses, in some cases, four may say that, yes, this is good. But if one says, no, something's wrong, check the one that is saying something's wrong. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and the plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren. So he was going to be Lord over his brother. And let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an ending of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone from the presence of Isaac, his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. It's about to get ugly. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise, and eat his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. I won't bother reading the rest. But some of you may have been in that position where you were expecting something from the Lord. You basically went to go get it and found out that someone else, as a result of deception, had gotten your stuff. In some cases, it caused delays, and either you had to or you are waiting for the Lord to straighten the mess out. I can only hope that you didn't permanently miss out on something the Lord had for you because the devil sent a messenger to snatch it out of someone's hands. But the Lord is a just God. And in a continuation of this, I will cover how Jacob's actions later came back to get him. The Lord is a just God. Do not play games with the Lord. Do not play games with a messenger of God. I mean, a true messenger of God. And not just a messenger, but a child of God. Because there's some people who are messengers of God, but they do or did things that may have been in the Lord's name, but they were actually serving the devil. And they messed with a child of God. But as a result of that, they are going to pay a price for their actions, just like Jacob did. When the Lord said vengeance is his and that he will avenge, yes, he does. He is a just God. And even if it takes years, he will make a person pay. It may not always be the way you want the person to pay, but he will make a person pay. And I can speak from experience about that. So again, if you want to review Genesis 27 regarding discernment and how Isaac received those warnings, but he ignored them because of deceptive acts, and we have to be that vigilant. When something is telling you, when the Holy Spirit inside of you is telling you that something isn't right, trust him. Because when he lets you know and you overrule him, you're letting him know that you're willing to pay the price. God bless you.